good.
All right. So anything I say will permanently be recorded, whether it's right or wrong. All right, cool beans. Well, hello everyone. Thanks
Howdy.
again for joining. I appreciate it. I think let me see. Some of you I've met already. I'm not sure if I haven't met anyone, but just to be on the safe side, let's just go down the list. And I'll call you out and just say hi and just introduce yourself just real quick. So say hi, Mr. Vincent.
Hello, Mr. Vincent from Bradenton, Florida, within walking distance of JPI.
All right, Mr. Was it JC? Was it who? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I'd like to join your group.
Sure, not a problem. All right, who's
Thanks.
next? And Karen, I'm assuming this is Karen White. Is that right?
Hi, everybody. Nice to see most of you again. Yeah. So this is my first Zoom. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool beans. All right. And see, is Sharon around?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Sharon.
Coming from Anaheim, California. The sun is still up here and it's very warm and good to be with you.
Oh, thank you. All right. And Donna. Hello, Donna. I don't know if you got your ears on or your mic on, but hello, how you doing?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, hi, I'm from Orlando, Florida, and it's nice to meet everybody.
Oh, cool. All right, I think who's next on the list here? Larry. Hey, Larry.
Hi there. I'm up in Vermont waiting for the leaves to turn. That picture, the background is last year's.
Well, it sounds like you're in a good spot for that. And I think the last one on my list here is Nate. Hello, Nate.
Hi, my name's Nate. I'm from California, also like Sharon.
Cool.
Interested in seeing what the program is. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. All right. Well, thank you all very much for joining. I appreciate it. Again, this is basically for the new folks. This is part of the Bradenton photo group that's basically run through Meetup, and about once a month I've been doing with these little what I call self-assignment photo challenges for folks. So people are basically invited to go out and shoot some pictures of something, hopefully that gets them out for wherever the topic is for that month, and try to go shoot something new instead of just pulling something out from the past. Now we did do a photo walk over at Bach Tower, so we'll also venture into some of those photos as well too, and I'll talk more about that when we get to that part. But other than that, let me just pull up the presentation that I've got, and then we'll go from there. Just give me 1 second. Shared my screen.
No.
Yes, sir.
No. You might want to mention to the people in the other coast there where Bach Tower is and what is it about.
Yep, I will. Thank you. All right. So again, so trying to play catch up for some of the other folks who have yet to meet me with me. My name is Donovan. Everyone calls me Dono most of the times. I also moderate another group called the Low Light Photo Group on Facebook. So if you ever want to check that out, you're more than welcome to as well. It's also on Meetup as well. Hang on 1 second. I got to move some windows here. There we go. That's better. My pointer out. There we go. Even better. All right. So again, there's a lovely photo of me. This is just a standard boilerplate. Basically, I'm the director of education here at Johnson Photo Imaging in Bradenton, Florida. Basically, I've been doing a lot of low light photography for the past couple of years, mainly the Milky Way, some astro stuff. But I also do landscape and macro and things like that. The Bradenton Photo Group is basically a way for me to reach out to other folks and see how they're doing, and also hopefully connect with some folks, whether they're nearby or far away. The idea is, I started doing this when COVID first popped up. And what happened was, that, of course, everyone was in their lockdown and everything else. And of course, there's all the stuff that's going on still. But the idea was to try to just get out there and still try to connect with the people. Because again, that's one of the things I liked about my job, is being able to have classes in the store and also talk to people. But when of course of COVID hit, I just started doing things online. As I said, I moderate the low light group. This is basically a group that's catered just generally about low light photography, not just astro, could be of anything else. We do also some portrait stuff, some other things as well, steel wool, things like that. I know for some of you who are out of state, that may not be too, if we're doing some stuff around, but whenever we do online sessions, you're more than welcome to join us there and also share some of your low light photography. Just for the folks who are going to be in Florida at the time, on October 10th, we're going to Dry Creek. This is an old town that's not an old town. This is a movie set that was built to be an old Western town in Parrish, Florida. And we go out there every so often. We have, again, with COVID, we haven't gone out there in quite some time. This will be our first time back out there. If you go to Johnson's website, www.jpiphoto.com, you'll be able to check out the website from there, and you can also sign up if you wish to.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you know offhand how many people you have signed up for that Dry Creek already?
I've got 5 people who said they're going. So.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Dry Creek is an outdoor set, so there are a couple enclosures, but it's all mainly a lot of facades. But the enclosures are fairly big, so I'm not too worried about that as far as connectivity. But you're always more than, of course, to wear a mask when you go out there and stuff like that. October 12th, we're actually going to be talking about photographing grizzlies in the wild. One of our vendors, our Sony specialist, he was able to go to and be able to photograph the bears up in Alaska. So that was a really cool thing.
JPI. And he's got a group of 5 people going to Dry Creek.
Hey, Vincent, I'm going to mute you for just a second, okay? There we go. So for the other thing, too, that's going on, if you guys are interested more about these monthly photo assignments, again, you can always go to my website and check it out there. Again, www.photodono.com. And you can always check it out there as well, too. Just click on the classes and workshops and stuff like that, and you'll find out some more information. I do the meetup, and most of these meetup stuff and low light stuff. This is, even though I'm the director of education, there's some overlap. This is something I do on my own. So, and the store the store, Johnson Photo Imaging, has been gracious to allow me to continue doing this and use some of their services and stuff. So they help offset some of the things that I do. But if you're ever feeling the urge to help out a little bit, I'm not asking for any donation. I'm not asking for any member dues or anything like that. But if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to donate as well too. And that does help me out. Again, you go to the Johnson's website, you can see all the classes that I currently are hosting or moderating as far as that goes. There's this, I did this little blog not too long ago about because every time I've been going out to these national parks, one of the things that I like is that there's these little things that take nothing but, take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. And there's another part of it that says kill nothing but time. And I started doing some research about who actually said this stuff, because, it's like one of those things that you hear all the time, but you don't know who says this. And I found out that there's a lot of attributions to a few other people, but this is the closest thing I could find that's actually set in stone somewhere where somebody actually has it written down, literally set in stone. It's by this group called the Baltimore Grotto, and they're part of the Speleological Society, where they go exploring caves and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing that was kind of thing. And it's also a nice reminder for all of us, especially a lot of us are traveling now, especially with some of the things that have been going on. So I find this, whenever I'm traveling around, that's what I try to do. But occasionally, once in a while, of course, you find the occasional discarded water ball or a lamp pamphlet or something along those lines, and you go, anyway. But anyway, I thought that was a nice little thing. Again, if you want to find out more about what to say, you certainly can dig around that. I don't want to tie you up too much with that, but I just thought that was kind of cool that, it's attributed to like an Indian, Chief Seattle out west, and it's also attributed to the Boy Scouts and also the Sierra creator as well too. And but no one's got that particular saying was never actually written down that I could tell by anybody else. So if anybody finds out if somebody's else done it, that'd be cool. I'd appreciate that. All right. Any questions about any of that stuff? Nope. All right. Now, if you got questions throughout this whole entire thing, it doesn't, you can always jump in at any time. You don't have to, you don't have to stay muted the whole time. But if you do ask a question, please go ahead and unmute yourself. You should be able to do that. And just make sure you mute yourself after the question so that we don't hear any ambient noise out there in the world, as they say. All right. So I think, I don't know, I didn't see, this is you, Sharon, is that right? Is this your stuff, Sharon?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Before we get into that,
I
give me
muted
one.
myself.
No, it's
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Just give me 1 second. Now, the self-assignment photo challenge, again, this is just a thing that you should hopefully get out to do. It's basically go out and try to find another different point of perspective. Now, again, one of the things about this is it's not like a contest or a judged event. It's basically a way to help us share and inspire each other with other photographs. And basically, it was, you could tackle this in any way, shape, way, or form. It's basically a way for you to hopefully find out unique things. And I just realized my pointer is on your eyeball, on the eyeball. I thought I had a demon bird for a second. Sorry. Anyway, but anyway, if you, so Sarah, I'm mistaken. This was a hummingbird, right? Is that right?
No, no, no.
What kind of bird is this?
It's a hummingbird.
Oh, it's a hummingbird. Okay,
It was a mother hummingbird, a little one, on its nest.
that's cool. Is this in somewhere nearby on your property, or?
It was right outside our school.
Oh, that's really cool.
And so I had hoped to be able to follow it through its time of hatching eggs, but one of the students messed with the nest, so the mother left,
That's a shame.
unfortunately. So I got her for the first couple days, but she was
Yeah.
a small hummingbird.
I imagine so. So was this a far? I'm assuming, was she high up?
No, she was at eye level, which was amazing. I
Oh,
mean, she was
wow.
very close. The kindergarten teacher had found her, and I wish she had kept it a secret to more people. But anyhow, she was easy to get at, and I used a 40 to 150 lens with a 2x teleconverter, and so I could get there without really disturbing her.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. Now, is this a cropped version of it too, on top of that, or is it just right there as you kind of saw it?
I believe it's right there as I saw it. I don't think I cropped this one.
Okay. And now you're shooting with Olympus or Panasonic?
Olympus.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been enjoying my Olympus gear. So that looks really nice. I like that a lot. So was she really, she was under a bunch of leaves, so she had some nice diffusion built into her with that as well.
She was in a bush in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's cool. Well, that's really cool. I like that. Now now this, I thought that was pretty cool. The underside of the mushroom. Was that with the 40 to 150 as well, or is that with some other lens?
no, that was probably the 14 to, what is it? The 12 to 40 bracketing.
Okay. Were you doing focus bracketing or just exposure bracketing?
Focus bracketing.
Cool. Yeah. So were you on the
Trying to
ground?
been learning how to do that. I've gotten a little better.
Were you kind of laying down on the
Yes.
ground? Yeah. That's really cool.
Well,
what was-
actually, I had the camera down on the ground. I was stooped down.
Yeah, I always say my days of bending over, laying on the ground are over at this point. Yeah, but yeah, that's really cool. So what's behind the mushroom? What's that building? Is that a building or some other structure, or?
That's the school building. Yeah,
Oh,
it's the
well,
school building, the administrative
cool.
offices.
That's really cool. Yeah, there's a couple of things like that might help you out later on, is that especially if you're doing really close-up work, some people will bring like a little card that you can put back there. It can either hide some of the background or reveal more of the background if you want to do that. It's a little usually like an index card, or maybe like
That's a good idea.
or a small little what the hell am I thinking about? It's not a reflector, but it's a diffuser. There we go. Thank you very much. That you can kind of hype, and that'll help some with the highlights too there too as well. But I love that. That's a really nice. That's definitely finding a different point of view. Now I thought this was. I think they're fighting, but it looked really amusing when I saw it the first time. So, tell me what's going on here. Are these guys fighting themselves?
Well, I actually was driving down the street and saw the mother squirrel taking something underneath her and dragging it. And I thought it was another animal.
Right.
She was hurting. And so I followed it into the yard and they were up on the wall, and then the little one started to fall off and she grabbed it. I was trying to take pictures just so fast. I didn't really even see that until I looked at it in the camera afterwards. It was one of those special catches.
That's cool.
And that one I did zoom in and crop.
Yeah. That's really cool. So yeah, like I said, when I first saw it, it looked like some sort of.
You're hearing me.
No, I'm hearing you, Sharon. I'm hearing you. When I saw it, I like I said, I thought it looked kind of comical to me because it looked like they were having some sort of, slapstick kind of fight, like a Three Stooges. And then but now that you're saying it was a mother trying to help its kid out. Now I go, oh, that's kind of cute now.
Yeah, rescuing the little one.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
So did you have fun taking some of these shots? Did you have some fun taking any of these?
I did.
pictures?
I
Oh, okay,
did.
good.
The mushrooms, I've got all kinds of them. I go out on the front and it's wet in the morning and, before the sun gets up and
Right.
yeah.
Cool. Well, that's cool. Well, yeah, Sharon, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing them with me and your ideas. I
No, not a
appreciate
problem.
that.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Vincent, you're next. So I think somebody else might be in this picture. I don't know who that might be. You there, Vincent?
Yeah, that's Karen and Donna. Karen and Don.
Don.
Don, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name.
I resemble that remark.
Well, there you are. So that's what I was doing behind you guys.
Oh, wow.
So
I got some feedback on this photo already, and because I blurred the background and I shot with too narrow a depth of field, so I didn't get a good focus on that background, which would have been lovely. But I guess I'm just going to have to go back out there and do it again.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, this is a picture that and we'll see some more pictures later on of Bok Tower Gardens. This is in Lake Wales, Florida. It's one of the really cool. It's a national historical landmark in the state of Florida, and it's actually on the peninsula of Florida. It's at the highest elevation, which is about 300 some odd feet above sea level. Which, for some of you who've been through the mountains or live in the mountains, that's not that high. So, but in Florida, it's a rare place to be because usually you're at sea level or below sea level in the state of Florida, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, you'll see some other pictures later on. This is a blow up of that, and I just love the little details you were putting in there. It almost looks like a very painterly the way how you solved for some of the focusing you said you were running into. That's really cool, Vincent.
Yeah, that took a little bit of work. I liberated the bench and the two lovebirds from the original image, cleaned it up and texturized it and put them right back on top of it.
That's cool. That's a kind of a way to make some lemonade out of some lemons, right?
Yeah, salvage something.
Yeah. Now this is the for those who don't know, this is the Bok Tower. Clock Tower is basically a Carillion bell tower in the state of Florida. And so it's also called the Singing Tower because they have bells ring off every so often. And they also do concerts as well too. And there's only a few Carillion players out there in the world. And of course, this is one of the places they get to play at. And again, this is a nice view of the perspective, especially with the reflecting pond there. I love it because you got the little bit of the red door in there. Let me blow it up a little bit. So you can see there's that little red door up in there. And you can actually, when you go into the building, they don't normally let people go in, but when you do get to go in, that red door does open up and you can kind of come out from there too. It's like a little balcony, which I thought was kind of cool. So
I'd love to do that.
now which camera you were using your Canon camera, right?
My Canon R5, yes.
Yeah. Which lens was this? The 24 or was this the?
This with the 24 to 240 millimeter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, that's cool. Now, you went up there, and if you were one of the group that went up there at the very beginning, correct?
Yeah, we walked straight to the tower because the light was just perfect at that point, and you can see in this image where you get the sunlight on the on the left side of that image coming in. So
yeah, that's
nice
really cool.
Morning light. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, not a problem. Yeah, again, I just love it, especially with that morning light hitting the side. That's really nice. And okay, and this is also from Bach Tower. Is that true?
It's definitely from Bach Tower.
All right. Well, this is really cool too. It's very lovely how you handle it in post and you get a nice and soft background and stuff. How do you what's when you're editing these things? Is that what you're kind of thinking about, or are you just kind of playing with it as you go along?
Well, about half and half. Sometimes I kind of know what I want to do, and other times the images don't want to go there.
Right.
And sometimes I'll just sit back and let the image tell me where it wants to take me.
Cool.
But I also use the Photoshop cutout where I just cut out just the flower and the leaves
Right.
to a certain point. And then once I cleaned that up, I went back to the original image, I ran that through Topaz, put some textures on it, blurred it a little bit, and then just put this right back on top. I just love that, technique because it makes the flower pop. When you ask yourself, what do you want to be the focal point of the image? Obviously, it's the purple flowers and leaves. The leaves were also an integral part of that image.
Yeah.
So when I blur that image and put it back on top of it, it just makes it pop. So
hang on 1 second. I got slipping out of my chair there. Well, that looks really cool. I really like that, especially as you said, because a lot of times, especially when people are looking at their images, they don't, they see something they like, or they're not sure what they got, or they don't realize that you really should get tighter and tighter, or if you're looking at something specific, you really need to really sometimes help it along and give it that little bit of extra pull to get a little bit more of it to really be more noticeable. That's really cool.
Thank you. My image of the tower was actually an anomaly because I don't do too much straight photography anymore. This
That's
was
cool.
just perfect the way it was, so I left it.
No, it looks like you got some good stuff there, Vincent. Thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Not a problem. And nope, I'm here and I see somebody had their hand up. I'm not sure what that was for, but all right.
Oh, I was just wondering if you're looking for critiques on this, or if it's just basically just sharing.
It's a little bit of both, so it's up to it's how everyone wants. Usually the way I do this is I just if anybody has any comments or anything, you're more than welcome to chime in and offer some suggestions or any kind of helpful things, because the idea is to share and also to encourage others to go out and try some unique things.
I certainly welcome any constructive criticism on my work.
All right, I'm gonna jump up to the meetup stuff. All right, hang on one second. Well, so far I like what I see with everybody is that's doing on this stuff. I mean, again, like anything else, everything there's no such thing as the top of the line or the pinnacle of photography. Everyone's kind of always trying to do something unique, something different. And part of the thing is as you start growing, and regardless whatever level you are in photography, the idea is to try to do something unique, something different. And you try to do with your voice. There's plenty of times where people just when they're trying stuff out, sometimes you are just lucky, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you have to go things and you got to rework it a little bit. So, when you look at stuff like from Vincent's stuff or Sharon's stuff, or again with Larry's or anybody else, you should be taking a look at how they are solving a particular problem, because there's no such thing as the perfect photograph. If somebody's telling you they're taking the perfect photograph of stuff, it's really, there's a little bit of love that goes in all these things to help bring these things about. So you just kind of like, when you're looking at these things, and again, if you don't be afraid to ask any questions about what you see, and we can always go back and forth. Generally I try to keep this, fairly succinct. Try to so we get out here at a more reasonable time, but I'm willing to stick around if people want to discuss and do other things. So just keep that in mind as we keep moving forward through all this stuff. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta share this particular page here. There we go. All right, and this is Larry, I believe. Is that? Yep.
That's it. Yes.
All right, cool. Well, so no, and you got all the information right there. This is in was it? I can't pronounce that word. Mansatique, is that right?
That's as good as I could say it.
So, so this is at the Manta Eastwater Breakout. So, what were you thinking when you were taking this picture?
We were out basically to try to get lighthouses, and the birds started flying around there, and I says, get that thing so your beak is right over the lighthouse, but it just wouldn't cooperate. So I had to help it out a little bit in another. I think I posted it on. I tried to move it in
Right.
Photoshop, and I think I did a fair job on it. And I guess one thing is when I really zoomed in on just of the lighthouse before the bird was around it, it was a little bit of a little soft. So I ran it through Topaz Sharpen and AI, and that seemed to get that cleaned up.
That's looking well. I like that right. I get to see what you're trying to do there. So let's take a look at the next one. See if we can get to that one next here. Give me 1 second.
I can give some critique on that.
Sure.
Image
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Yeah. The colors are nice. It looks like you got the white balance correct. I like that about it. It looks like it's level, pretty level and straight, and I like that about it. One part that's kind of interesting, and on some of these Zoom meetings, you can annotate on it. I don't know if that's part of the remote control here, but so I'm able to draw over it and then delete it to show the areas that I want to point out. But they have an annotate option on Zoom. But anyway, the area with the I don't have that option on here. That's closed off for mine.
Okay.
But some hosts can open that up so other people are able to make visual notations on it.
I'll take a look at that.
Yeah. The lighthouse and the bird, that area there's a little bit of merging of the two subjects there, and so that would just be something to be aware of. I don't know if that was done on purpose but there's a little bit of a merging between the bird and the lighthouse, and whereas that one he just pulled up has more separation there, which I think maybe is a little bit more effective. So that's my critique.
Cool. Yeah, because I think that's what, if I understand correctly, Larry, the bird was being very uncooperative. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, he would not move where I wanted to move. And that first shot was taken the way he did. So I
Right.
had no choice on the separation. This one is where I separated it using Photoshop.
Larry, just a quick question or comment. Have you tried to mess with the crop a little bit? And by that, I mean, I love this photograph, except there's a whole lot of stuff on the right of the bird that's really not important to the image.
Are you talking about this right here, this area right here?
Yeah, exactly. Either a vertical crop or,
Right.
I don't know. It's very personal. I just,
Well,
you-
yeah, it's like anything else out there. I mean, when you start looking at stuff like, especially stuff like this, it's all this stuff is personal. It's really what it is. You really are never going to get any. Like I said, there's no such thing as a perfect photo. You're going to do your best, and you make everything as best as you can. And and for the best part, for the most part, everyone's going to be picking up hopefully a few other tips and tricks throughout the whole entire presentation. But I think that's a lovely solution for what you were working on. But I do agree with Vincent that it could be a little bit more of a vertical crop or maybe a little bit tighter. But other than that, I like the idea that it looks like he's about to peck or take apart the lighthouse. I like that.
Yeah, it's a play with depth. It's a play with depth there
Yeah.
because it's kind of merging because the depth of field is so wide
Right.
that it's almost like putting the bird and the lighthouse on the same plane.
I agree with some of the commentary that I would like to see a lot less foreground because that's not important to the image. And I would like to see more room for the bird to fly into.
Yep.
All right. Cool beans. All right. Let's go on to the next one. Next contestant here. What we got here? Who is this one? This is you, Gardenia. All right. And this
I'm
I should-
Gardenia, yes.
yeah. So this I should have known. This is in Chicago.
Yes, it's Chicago, yeah.
Now,
Downtown.
Okay. Which building is this? Are they working on?
This is the Sotheby's International Towers, 1 Chicago Square.
Cool. All right. So let's take a look at again, perspective is part of the name of the game for this thing. So again, I like the idea of shooting from, I'm assuming you're on the other side of the corner, like caddy corner to the building from the where I could see. I like the fact that the lines are leading up. That's really nice. And that's especially with the reflection of the other building that you're catching over there. That's really cool. So what were you thinking when you were working on this one?
I was trying to look at the new structure. They've built it from a parking lot, and now it's suddenly a high rise. And it looks like, on the other side is the cathedral and the other side is the building.
Yeah.
It looks like a great place.
Yeah. That's especially because the fact that you're capturing the reflection from the other side of the street. That's a wonderful, like I said, a wonderful capture when it comes to that. Now, did you do any heavy editing in post or anything like that?
No, it's natural light, and basically it's just to get the image that I wanted to catch.
That's cool. And I love the how the sign kind of bisects it, throughout the whole entire the street sign right there, the word Chicago. I like how it kind of really puts into and gives you that nice little break into the image that works out really well, because again, it also plays along with the crane right there, because you get that nice little V shape that's going right there, and of course it gets mirrored down below too as well. That's really nice. Cool beans. Anybody else?
Yeah, I can give some critique. I can give some critique on this one too.
Sure.
Yeah. I might sound a little systematic, but it looks like you got your lines pretty straight. It looks like it was taken with the wide angle lens looking up. One of the interesting things I think about this is the street light and the street sign and the crane, how these kind of jut out over or above the the building. And so I think that kind of adds some dimension to the work.
That's cool. Yeah, again, like I said, I think that really works out really well for how you put this all together. I'm very, that's really nice. Especially, it's nice to see something outside the state of Florida too, like with Larry's with Michigan. That's really cool.
Thanks.
Oh, not a problem. And again, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it. I think this is you as well. Oh, wow. So now again, this is more, do you like shooting architecture? Is that your, one of your things that you like to do?
I used to be a draftsman for architecture drawings and engineering, and I like architecture and classic structures.
Yeah, there's if you get a chance to, one of our local, well, in Orlando local, his name is Jeff Leinbach, and he does a lot of architectural photography. If you get the chance to check him out on some of his Instagrams and stuff, he does a lot of some gorgeous buildings. I'm not
Yes,
necessarily.
I've been in, yes, in his course. I took the landscaping photography from
Mhm.
Jeff Lineback.
Yeah, we're gonna have, but not for, it won't help you out too much there. But if you happen to be in Florida around, it's either January or February, Jeff's going to be doing a walking tour, and we're going to be doing a little architectural tour around downtown Tampa. So if
Oh,
you're
that's
interested in that,
nice.
yeah, so we're going to be looking forward to that. But so yeah, let's get back to this. So again, I love how you've framed it, because again, you give the weight towards the to the columns on there, because I already know that they're, with the columns right there, they're technically it looks like they're just supporting everything with their head there, but it's just you just get such a sense of the mass on top of them. And again, my architectural class that I took, which very basic one, which is, so I don't know what all the dentals and all the other stuff are about these days, but I really love the fact that you got a lot of the detail in there and how the lines kind of lead through the whole entire thing. So that works out really well for me. you know the only thing I would say is that, and it's just being nitpicky, is you get that little part right over there, the tree, whatever that leaf is, but that's just, somebody being really, in my opinion, kind of really picky on that. But other than that, I just love the way the lines are cut, especially with the shadows, where they're bisecting it right there. Again, I know the light's playing on one side, you got the shadows, but it's just a nice clear divide, and how it works out really well, and breaking it up nicely, I thought. Anybody else?
Yeah, I can comment on it too.
Sure.
Yeah, Donovan, I think you're right about the little leaf there on the upper right. The other thing is, I'm a little systematic about it. You might, it's possible there might be a little straightening that could work here if you're looking to try and get your
Talking
lines
about
straight.
right. You talking about right there?
Well, yeah, all the vertical lines, in terms of any type of editing process, if anybody does that, there's ways that you can kind of try to make the lines a little bit more straight. And then the other thing is, if she's really interested in getting into architecture even further, there's lenses called tilt shift lenses, which probably, Donovan, you're aware of. You seem
Yep.
you're knowledgeable. Yeah. So that might be something. If it sounds like she has a little bit of architectural background, that might be fun to play with. Even get a used one. I was at a camera shop the other day, and I think they had a used one for about $100. And you can play around and see for architectural photography. That's a tool that some people use.
Yeah, there's a photographer in Florida. His name is Clyde Butcher, and he's more or less been, because he photographs a lot of like the Everglades and that kind of nature stuff. But this is the guy that he's been called like the Ansel Adams photographer, because he does shoot large format. As far as film, 8x10 negs he had shot back, and he also, of course, the 4x5s and stuff like that. Anyway, the reason I bring him up, because when you mentioned tilt shift, that's what he primarily shoots with when he's doing even landscape stuff. and he
Yeah.
blows his stuff up to like 4 feet by 5 feet with the stuff that he shoots, of course. So but he likes playing around with that tilt shift lens because again, he's really considered, and again, it's all Everglades or a particular environment, but it's all, but no buildings or whatever. It's not a man-made environment, it's more for the nature and for the landscape. But that stuff is really cool. If you get a chance to check out some of his stuff, it's really, really, really nice.
Indeed it is. I'd just like to pipe in here that over the last year, I started shooting churches, not shooting up churches, but shooting the facades of churches. And I found it not quite as easy as you would think, just because, especially in the urban areas, so close to the streets, you can't get the whole thing in, and yada, 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 wires and such. So I ended up buying a 10 millimeter lens, which I put on my M5 camera. And so now I have my church camera, so to speak. And it does quite a job, actually. It does quite a nice job.
Yeah, that's the thing about photography. It leads to multiple camera purchases. All right, so this is your third one, is that right, Gardini?
Yes, it's a blue heron at
Mhm.
the Jackson Park
Oh, cool.
Lagoon.
Yeah, being in Florida, one of the things when I saw that, I thought that was in Florida, but I know you're up in the north part, so it always bugs me that the birds migrate. They're always here in Florida all the time. So, but when I see them outside the state of Florida, I go, "What are you doing here? I'm supposed to be down south." Anyway, I'm sorry, I digress. So, again, when it comes to birding photographers, one of the things in the state of Florida, there's only two types of photographers. There's basically birding photographers, and there's everybody else, and that's pretty much how they rock and roll down here. It's really how they do it. This has got lots of interesting elements in there, and I really like the fact that you got the bird in motion. That's really nice. Got some nice lines going throughout her and stuff like that, or him. I can never tell. For me, when I look at birds, it's a great big blue bird, So when I look at that stuff, but I know what birding photographers like. They like pin feather sharpness. They like being able to see the eye. They don't want any shadows that point towards the photographer. They just want, and they really want crisp, sharp details, especially on those white egrets. Oh my God. It's because because you got to be really careful with some of the exposure on those guys, because those white feathers can really reflect a ton of light, and you usually have to burn them down just a little bit. But I really like, again, that the action kind of works out really well. You got a little bit of motion blur is what it looks like to me, but I'm a big fan of motion blur because it always gives me implied action instead of the frozen action. So I really like that a lot. One thing again was, I would say, just be mindful of what you got right up there. I mean, just cropping that little bit out, I think would really pull it up a little bit more as far as that goes. And I think that would give you like the winner picture right there. But I love the architectural stuff too as well. This is, again, a really lovely thing. So so you were out, you said, is it with Jackson Park? Is that where you're at?
I went, yes, to visit the lagoon and the nature center and a sanctuary for birds over there. And they have the Garden of the Phoenix. It's like a
Uh-oh. You still there? No, we lost you. All right. That's okay. We can come back to this one. It's not a problem. Let's see. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Nate. I just saw the picture right there. All right,
Okay,
Joe.
cool. Yeah, is she still there? I can offer some critique on
Yeah,
it if she's still
yeah,
there.
sure.
But she
Oh,
I'm
there.
cut
Oh,
off.
here,
there.
I'm
Oh,
listening.
okay. There you are. Yeah,
Did
go
you, were you
ahead.
gonna finish saying something or?
Yeah. Go ahead, Nate. I'm done. You can talk.
Oh, okay. The photographer's still here. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to agree with Donovan on cropping would make I think a really increase the level of it. And then the other thing, cropping, then straightening. That looks pretty straight, so the straightening is good. And then the third thing that I'm kind of systematic on is the merging of foreground and background. Kind of the classic, a tree coming out of somebody's head. That's something. And by the legs of this bird, I see a little merging of the legs with the plants, almost like it's kind of like a plant. The bird is almost like a plant growing out of the greenery there. So that's another issue I would look at possibly, is the merging issue for it, and trying to keep some separation. It's a major issue in photography. We saw the same thing with the lighthouse earlier in the bird, and there's a little bit of the bird and the greenery below here merging.
All right. Cool. Well, again, Gardenia, thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate it. This is, again, you got some lovely work. I especially, again, love the architecture. Oh my God, that first one was Cabela. I really like that one a lot.
Well, thanks for commenting on my photographs.
No, not a problem. Yeah. Don't worry. I got some of my own photos, so you guys you'll definitely have to comment on mine too. So I'm expecting to hear some comments. So no worries on that. All right.
Okay.
Hey, when we get done with all this stuff, I'll tell you a story about what happened to me many years ago about stuff. So, but anyway, let's just move on for now. Just give me a second here. I keep moving windows around because I only have one screen today. Usually I like to work with the double screen, but today I'm only stuck with the one. All right, Nate, you said you loaded them up here. All right, hang on a second.
Yeah, I just loaded a couple. This is my first time here, so I wasn't sure how it worked. I just
no
popped
problem.
a couple on there.
All right, that's cool. Looks like there's somebody that did. There we go. All right. There we go. All right. So who is this fine young fella?
Okay, I give a little background on the photo. So I went to I'm in San Francisco here, and I went to a festival last weekend, and it's called the How Weird Fair. It's called the How Weird Fair. And it's a music festival, and people dress up in weird costumes and stuff. So I ended up posting a couple photos from that on here, and this is one of them.
Oh, that's cool. So I like how you got the guys looking at you. That's really cool. I like that. And just because since I don't have any context for the picture, it's just like, that's why I wanted to. When I saw the picture, it's like, oh my God, what's going on here? But now that
he had an interesting face.
Yeah, now that you got the context, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. That's really cool. He's got a beautiful smile, that's for sure.
Yeah. There was probably a couple thousand people at that fair, and I was there for the whole 8 hours, and so I was just taking pictures the whole time. And he had something in his eye and his face. It's a little little mesmerizing a little bit to look at it. So I thought that one was an interesting one.
Yeah, I like it. It's also got the nice little shallow depth of field going on too, because it's like almost the whole entire front face is fairly sharp, and the rest of it is again very soft behind it. So it really makes the face really stand out more so, because again, you got everything kind of blocking around the face, trying to hide the face, like this fellow and everything else. But the fact that you can see his eyes first thing, that's a nice little thing. Plus, I like the fact that you got some catch lights in there too. That worked out really well.
Oh, good point. Yeah. And this is a case, I made a couple comments on the other photos about merging, and if you're able to get that shallow depth of field, it can help to prevent merging. So you got the African American gentleman on the left there, and if that was in super sharp focus, there would probably be more of a merging issue. But since the focus is so shallow, you kind of know what the subject is, and it's kind of isolated. So that's one of the pros in terms of pros and cons. That's one of the pros of shallow depth of field, is it helps with separation.
Yeah. So were you using like a 51.4 or something like that?
This was a 100 millimeter f2, so I could get that separation. Yeah, okay, portrait lens. Yeah.
Is this also I'm just assuming this is also from the fair too.
Yeah, everything. I posted, I think, 4 photos on there. Yeah, everything's from the fair. This is the same thing, 100mm f2, kind of a portrait lens.
Mhm.
Same thing. She was an artist there.
That's cool. Yeah. Again, I like the expression on her face. So how many times did you have to the photographer to get that expression?
For her, I think I took about 3 photos, but I do bracket. I
Mhm.
shoot on a DSLR and I bracket, so I take a 3 photo burst. You know, one with a regular exposure, one underexposure, and one overexposure. So I do a 3 because on the DSLR I have, you can do high speed uh, trigger on it, and so it does 3 photos in a row, and but I think I did it 3 times, so a total of 9 photos, but really only 3. The because this is a burst of 3 that I shoot on. That's the technique that I do.
Yeah. I
I
wonder.
think this photo has a lot of interesting elements going on.
Yeah.
Probably would like to see it cropped in a little bit closer. What bothers me is that she's cut off at the wrists and her knuckles.
Oh, can you pull back out? Let me see that, Donovan.
Yeah.
This is a good point.
Yeah. Right there and right there.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Carr. Yeah. I hadn't thought much about that.
Yeah. One of the things in portraits, even though it's like everything else in photography, you know enough to be dangerous about anything, right? So, but my claim to fame is not portraits these days. And sometimes I miss little things like that. Again, but I start looking for shapes and forms. So again, I like the way everything works right here as far as that goes. You get the nice with the head tilt right there, and right there, and especially with, again, how that leads. I do agree. Yeah, keeping that in there probably would have been a little bit nicer. I like the fact that you could see the tat there, but again, keeping a little bit more there too. I think, again, part of the whole thing with especially wearing masks and stuff, part of me wants to just go ahead and Photoshop the mask out, but but the other part is like, well, that's the way it was. That's how it is. So.
Well, at first she had the mask on, Donovan, and
Yeah.
I think I did the first 2 photos with it on.
Right.
And then this might have been the last one. And I said, could you take the mask off? Because, some people, it's a touchy topic, you
Right.
know. So she just pulled it down, got a couple shots. But yeah, if I spent a little bit more time on it,
Yeah.
she was sitting at her little art booth. So I didn't want to take away her time. She's trying to sell her art, you know what I mean?
Right.
At the booth. So I didn't, and there was other people starting to come over towards her. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
She might make some money here,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm blocking some money. So anyway, this was the best one I got.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it's lovely. Again, I like the fact that you were still able to get some catch lights in there. That really helps out because it brings out the other eye a little bit too, right there. So again, I like that a lot.
Thank you.
No problem. Let's see. Where we go? Oh my God, who is this guy? This is pretty interesting character. What is that?
Yeah. I saw that hat from across the street. I said, I got to get a picture of a guy in this hat. You don't see one of those very often.
Now, did he just happen to turn at that moment, or did you get his attention?
By the end of the fair, it was like an 8-hour fair, people drinking and stuff, and I would just walk up to people and say, hey, can I take your photo? It was a $40 fair. It had a bunch of DJs and stuff there. So, but I was able to get in free because I contacted the people putting on the fair, and I said, I'll take photos and I'll share the photos with you. And they said, okay, go ahead. So I got to go through the media line and bypass security and didn't have to pay. And that's one of the fun things about doing event photography. But so I would just ask me, hey, can I take a quick picture? And if they ask why, I say, well, I'm photographing for the event.
Right.
And so I got a couple of him. He did one with a smile in here, and then the next one he had like a real angry face. I guess he was putting on a show, but but this one I kind of like better.
Yeah. Again, I like the fact that he says he's separated enough that he points out, his hat's right there. The fact that his hat goes that tall and still standing after 8 hours, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
I like this image as well. And what I find interesting is it looks like a little crescent moon right at the top of his hat.
Oh yeah.
Which sort of is aligned with everything that's going on, this magicalness of all of it. Probably I would like to see the gentleman or the individual on the right not seeing his eye. And I think that probably could have been eliminated by darkening and lightening the center and darkening the edges a little bit and bringing more of it towards the wizard. But yeah, great job.
Yeah, that's cool, man. All right.
Yeah, or I could have even cropped the sliver off on that right side, just to still keep the hands with the sunglasses on there, but just crop that little sliver of his face out, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I had to deliver these pretty quickly to the client, but yeah, those are some good points. If I had a little bit more time in the editing, I agree with you, Carr.
Yeah, that's one of the things, you always feel like, oh, I'll get to it, and next thing you know, whoops, I'm out of time.
Well, I needed to deliver it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
These are pretty much straight out of camera, pretty much. I did ran up Lightroom just to do some basic, so no cropping. Yeah.
So again, that's you got some really interesting characters out there. These people are certainly very imaginative. That's really cool. I really like the getup. I like the image because again, it's really popping out. You get nice soft depth of field. They got the guy in the red shirt again. That my eye keeps going to him, but but the fact that he's got balloons in his face. That's the part that, because I'm looking for a face in the picture, and of course I can't find the face because the human eye wants the face. It wants to find the face, and I can't find the face. And I see a person, but where's the face? And that's part of the charm of this. For me, that's part of the charm of the picture. Now, did you have to have him pose like that, or was he just kind of stumbling around and?
He was just walking down, and I saw him with my camera. This is also with the portrait lens, the 100mm f2, and yeah, I just kind of said, "Oh, take your picture," and I'm still pretty far away because it's 100mm, and it's a full body shot, so I'm pretty far away. But he saw me and I saw him, and then I just clicked off some shots, not doing a whole lot of posing stuff. But it was kind of tough navigating all the stuff in the background. It's very complex in the background. But you make a good point about looking for faces, and the best I could do is not really show the faces in the background, because if you were to see a face in the background, you're right, your eye would probably go to that face. And then you make a good point about the strong red on the left side, which would make me wonder, maybe it would be better in black and white. Oh, there's a little glasses there.
Yeah. I just wanted to see it up close a little bit. I was like, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
I do. I think this is just hysterical. I love it. And I think darkening, lightening the center would help you, not eliminate the guy from the red, but just bring him out of the image. Right. But I imagine taking this guy and compositing him out of this background and putting him into some kind of, I don't know, Lost in Space episode or something.
Yeah.
I love this guy. This guy is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think is this the next one? Yeah, this is the next one. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the last one I posted.
All right. Well, he looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah.
And
there were quite some characters.
That's really nice with the background around there. That really helps bring him out. And I love the fact that their background's red. It kind of works with the glasses and again, I don't know where he's looking. And again, my eye wants to find his eyeballs, and I'm sure he's not looking at least I'm assuming he's not looking at the buildings directly, but that's what I want to assume. But the fact that you could see that little virtual reflection in his eyes, that's nice.
Yeah. I was doing probably about 3 shots on each of these, just dot, 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 and then kind of recomposing a little bit, dot, 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 and then recomposing. Yeah, so that's kind of my technique for this, because I got to move pretty quick. People are trying to have a good time. They're not necessarily going to stand there for too long. But
I'm curious, Nate.
Yeah,
How many pictures did you end up shooting for this event?
I think I shot close to 1,000. It was an 8-hour event, so
Okay.
I was there from 12 to 8. I was there from 12 to 8. Yeah, and like I said, I take 3 at a time basically as my technique. So if you say about 1,000, you divide that by 3. What would that be? I don't even know.
About
Like about 400.
333, something
Yeah,
like that.
300. Yeah, so 300 pictures over 8 hours.
Okay, that's cool. I just know what I would have done. I would have gone nuts and probably shot 3,000 pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know I would have been rubbernecking trying to take pictures of everything, you know. This is again an interesting guy, especially his expression on his face. That's what I was thinking. He was definitely having a good time somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, he was into it. Go ahead, Car.
I really like this image as well. And what draws my attention is the way his left hand is sort of wrapping around the logo on his t-shirt. Those lines, that swirly line that bring you around in the image, I think are very pleasing.
Yeah. Yeah, that works.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this one's not quite as busy in the background, so it kind of helps to pull them out. A lot of these other photos are so busy in the background.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you got to work with what you got sometimes, especially if you're under a deadline. He's like, oh, gotta go.
I do. I back on it, let you know where you are, that you're at. Like, you kind of tell it's a ticketed event because it's corded off. I probably would take the red background and take the white line off of the top of the image, but keep the railing in the back.
Yeah, that might do. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm kind of distracted, but that's like I said, I think that looks pretty good. Again, to me, like stuff like that's just kind of like when I look at stuff like this, yeah, you could crop a little more, do a little bit of this, but yeah, I think the right here is where my eyeball stays the most amount. So I really enjoy that. All right, not a problem. Now, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna stop sharing here, and I'm gonna go into mine next. Unless anybody else has anything they'd want to share still. If you do, just go ahead. You can either upload them through here to the meetup page. If you want to, I could also allow you to share your own screen if you want to do that at that point. All right. So
no, I did upload a giant Victoria lily. Did you get that?
Oh, that's right. I did see that. Where is that one? Oh, there it is. I did miss it. I'm so sorry, Car. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That was really cool. This is with the new camera, right?
Yeah.
I love the detail you got in there. And the fact you got the nice reflection going on in there. Is this pretty much straight out of the camera, or did you do any kind of edits with it?
I cropped it, and I used a technique where you paint, but you're painting with a dark color instead of a light color, and then you're using a blending mode of darken to bring out some of the reflections more. So it's a painting the light technique.
Yeah,
I think this is gorgeous. I love the way you cropped it. I don't think I would have thought to crop that in as aggressively as you did, but it works really well. You really got the detail. I love it.
I just wanted it to be about the lighting and not about Lily.
Yeah, my favorite part is like right here. So one of the things when I remember looking at these things beforehand was when looking at right here, I was like, well, that's really cool because I see it looks like some sort of weird abstract forest at that point. But that's really cool.
I didn't even notice the lighting, when you pull up your images and you just go through them and you're like, oh my God, that's it. Like, I didn't even see that lighting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like the car. I like the composition of it. I like the balancing of the all the elements in it. I think it's well balanced. I'd also darken my highlights too. I think that's a really valid technique and really can help keep the image from blowing out. So I think it's really nice, and I agree with Donovan that area of the reflection with kind of the veins and the leaf is really kind of the highlight of the work.
Yeah, but yeah, it's lovely, and it's I know you said you were thinking about maybe doing some like a lesson with me, but I don't think I need to teach you anything.
No, that's not true. I have certain niches that I focus on, and like low light and night photography and things like that are not in my wheelhouse.
Right. All right, cool beans. Now, let me close out of this one. Now, if you guys want to, I'm not going to go over them right away because there's a little bit more I want to cover today. But hang on one second. I got to move a couple of windows here. I want to go to, where is it at? Come here. Because if you want to see some more pictures from Bach Tower, mine are also from Bach Tower as well. But if you click on the either on photos or the past event, you'll see the Bach Tower, and you'll see a bunch of people have uploaded a ton of photos on there. And anytime you upload photos to any of these things, everyone's always more than welcome to leave comments and stuff like that on there as far as that goes. There were some really some interesting images that I think people came up with as far as that goes. So if you get a chance to take a look at that, I would certainly go from there and things like that. Oh, that's mine. Mine's not as, there we go. There's some more interesting photos. There was another one of the spider. I thought that was kind of cool. But again, take a look at those and see what you guys think about that. All right, let me go back to my keynote presentation. I'll get out of this for a second. All right, and thank you guys for so far. I'm really enjoying tonight. I think you guys got some great ideas. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope you guys will keep coming back for more.
Thank you.
All right,
hope to be back. So.
All right, cool. So in this particular part, because I usually save mine for last, not because it's the best for last, it's because, well, no one wants to hear me talk about my stuff all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my stuff. You guys are more than welcome to chime in with comments and stuff. But I'm also going to go over and I'm going to have some of my details up there. But I'll also talk about some of how I came up with some of the edits as far as that goes. So I know some people are more curious about some of the behind the scenes stuff. So I'll go over some of that stuff as well. And if you guys are interested, I also tacked on here at the end of it too, a little bit of something that I like to call file management, because some folks have asked about that. Not anyone here, I don't think, but a few people have. So if you guys are watching it, or if you guys want to, I'll keep doing that, and I'll just go through that as well on top of that. All right, because again, as I said, this is being recorded, so I want to make sure that people who've missed it can catch up on some of that stuff as well. So again, this is again my idea of working with the perspective. I was originally going to try forced perspective when I went out there, but I didn't really see anything that really worked out, and I didn't bring any props for that. So I started looking for things that are hopefully a little bit more unique or different. And of course, reflections are probably one of the more easiest things to kind of pull into. But the hard part, of course, is dealing with reflections and stuff. So my main thing was when I was working on this particular one is like trying to decide which reflections I want to keep, which ones I don't want to do. So over here on the right, you can see my settings on this particular one, and I'm shooting this with the Olympus with the 12 to 40 lens. So literally I have to get almost right on top of the water. And this is around the moat. There's like a small little moat around the tower that's got, and luckily enough, the day was kind of helpful for this particular thing. And like I said, I'll go over more of the edits and stuff like that. But one of the things I'm always looking for when I'm striving for in my work is lines that lead you into the pictures. In this particular case, I got lines leading you to this particular point, and I want these lines to go here. So, usually it's top to bottom, left to right. And here, sometimes when I'm composing stuff, I usually try to go opposite of that. Not that it works all the time. It's just that sometimes I think that works out pretty well. The only thing that I would do later on is maybe remove this bit, but I don't know. I'm kind of caught in between that because I kind of like it because it kind of mimics a little bit over here, or maybe I should put more of these over there. I don't know. So what do you guys think?
I can say something to it.
Sure.
Yeah, I like it's mysterious, kind of because of the reflection and the distortions of the reflection. So I think it has a sense of mystery to it. Um, and then my eye is actually led uh, a little bit to the left of your pointer, to that brightest spot,
Right
um,
around here,
of down a little bit more,
down here.
down a little bit, just a touch more. Right, yeah, right about there. My eyes kind of going there, and I feel like there's a big gap there of white. They're almost like a triangular. If I were to draw on the screen, almost
Oh
like a
yeah, like
triangular
that. Yeah,
thing
I see.
of white. Yeah. So that's kind of my first impression when I looked at it, was kind of almost like a giant white triangle kind of stood out. So that's kind of my first thing, and then the other thing is I do like the leaves on the left side that you talked about. I like
Right.
them just because there's some kind of undistorted element in it. Everything else is kind of distorted in the waves, so that part is kind of grounds you a little bit in reality a little bit.
Right.
So I do like that. And then there's a little like dot on the bottom,
Yeah, I saw that
third
after.
kind
If
of,
I saw right down there. You're
yeah,
talking about. Yeah, I saw
yeah,
that, and
it's
I was
kind
like,
of curious. Yeah.
yeah, and there was a couple of these dots throughout the whole thing, and they really stood out. And I did clone those out. You'll see a before and after one later on. You'll see what it looked like before. But yeah, I agree with you on this. I think this is, now that you mentioned it, that my eye is now going. Now that you mentioned, my eye is definitely going there all the time. So yeah, I think maybe that needs to come down, or some sort of, I gotta burn it down just a little bit around there somehow. But I'll work on it some more. But I kind
Yeah,
of,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I just
yeah,
sometimes I'll look at like a little thumbnail of a photo, and
right,
then you see it differently than when you see it like bigger. And as the thumbnail, you see this bright white triangle kind of, if you were
yeah,
to just put it in a thumbnail size, and that's kind of what stood out first.
yeah,
I think that I like it. I'm always attracted to reflections. I don't think if I didn't know it was a clock tower, I wouldn't know what it was. But I wonder if it was rotated so the perspective was more the way you would see the tower.
Oh, okay.
Would make
Rotate it back up again.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll try that. I'll post both of them on my Instagram account. So that
Good
way,
idea.
maybe I'll let people to make a decision on that. And JC, thank you very much. It has an abstract. She's saying I have a abstract artistic reflection, which adds to the perceptual distortion. I like that. I think I'm going to quote you on that one. I think I like that. That's really
It
cool.
looks nice. It's very
Oh,
nice.
thank you. All right, let me go to the next one here. Unless anybody else has any other comments. No. All right, so this one's a panoramic one that I created, and I was basically out of 4 images. So what I did was I wasn't quite sure how to present it. So basically, what I ended up doing is I just did basically a couple of shots throughout the whole entire thing. You can see a little bit closer on here through the keynote presentation. So you can kind of see that, this is pretty much what I was looking at. What I ended up doing is, and again, you'll see more of the stuff in the edits, is that the sky was okay, but I did end up doing replacement of the sky in there. Also, but that was about it. I did warm it up a bit because, unlike Vincent's photo, he got up there in a little bit on the towards the tail end of the golden hour. I was up there around 11:30 or so to get this particular one, and I've got a couple of the pictures where you got more centered on it, but I kind of wanted to try something different with it off-centered. So again, what I'm trying to do is use framing and stuff like that. And I was hoping that this blue would also work well up against this green right here. So again, I was kind of trying to mirror that a little bit in there too. So again, I'm not quite sure if it was as successful as I would have liked it to have been. But the part that I like the fact that about this whole thing that excites me about it is the fact that I was able to do this, get the merging done, and still capture some of the details and everything else. Now I shot this with the telephoto lens and this was at about with the 40 to 150 from Olympus, and then this was about, I want to say this was at about 80 millimeters. Now you can't shoot this thing without getting without doing this type of a thing, but the issue I always find, especially when you're doing this type of photography and you're shooting in one shot, the issue sometimes I find is that you don't have usually enough detail, and especially if you want to crop it and make it a little bit more of a unique aspect ratio. So I wanted to have more, because my camera only shoots at 20 megapixels. So in essence, I basically almost not quite quadrupled the number of pixels, but I added more pixels to the image by just doing the panoramic. So that gave me a little bit more teeth to work into it, and that's the part I thought worked out really well for me. Still not quite sure if I'm completely satisfied with it, but I like how the reflection worked out here on the bottom and also right there too as well. And maybe I should just crop out the tower altogether. together. All right. Okay. What do you guys think?
I really like the way that all of the trees on the left create that foliage type of frame around the image. I really, really like that. As a whole, I like the image. The only thing that I would probably put a question mark around would be, because you replace the sky, the reflections in the pond, are they aligned with the reflection in the sky? And that's being really nitpicky. So
yeah, exactly. I try to get it as close as I can without making it too weird. There's some of it in there, but it's you look at the perspective and it's like, I don't know. So so anyway, it's one of those things I'll play with a little bit longer and see what I can come up with.
I think it looks convincing.
Donovan, I like this image. When I first saw it, I didn't. However, and I didn't because you had so much of the right end of the tower hidden by the trees. But the more I looked at it, the more it drew me in to see if I could see beyond those trees. So it's good in that fact. It's drawing me in.
Yeah, another part of the reason why I ended up choosing the composition was, of course, when I got there was another photo shoot going on, so I went to the very side of it, so I was not in their way. But I still got the golden door, but I lost the red door in the picture. So I did shoot it again, where you can see more of the red door, but I really, it's like one of those things, you look at something and you go, I think there's something there, and you start playing with it. Next thing you know, it's 4 hours later and you're, and you're like, by gum, it's going to be something there when you're done.
Yeah, done that.
did you use some HDR on that photo?
I did a little bit of tonal manipulation, but not much. Just a little bit in the shadows, a little bit in the highlights, but not too much,
I think the exposure is good. I think the exposure is right on there. I think the colors look real. I think that sky I think it matches well to the water. Yeah, I mean, I think the immediate response to people is, is the subject of this photo that tower, or is it not? And I guess that's where the main tension of the piece is. And I think was it Vincent that was saying that his first impulse, he wasn't sure about it, but he liked it later. But yeah, I think there's a tension there of what is this about? Is it about the reflection? Is it about the tower? Is it about the greenery? Because the tower's obscured, it kind of puts everything else kind of up for grabs on what it's about.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I like the fact that it's not quite there, then it's there. It's like
that's an interesting word. Tension. I never heard that used before, and that's probably a good adjective. Yeah. You either like it, you don't.
Well, yeah,
like the photographer's intention. The photographer's intention is usually like a big topic, because a photo can be successful if it achieves the photographer's intention. Even if you don't like the photo, if it achieves the intention, then the photographer is successful. So if the intention here is to be kind of mysterious and veiled, to what's happening here, then I think it's successful because it has a mysterious quality. I can't quite see this building, and if that's the intention, then it's successful. If the intention is to show this tower as it is and not blocked off, then obviously then it would be less successful.
Yeah, then it would
Yeah,
be then it would be an epic failure.
well-
at that point.
Well put, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Let's finish up on this one right here. So on the way to Bok Tower, the road which is conveniently called Bok Tower Boulevard. There's these power lines that lead up there, and I usually try to stop by there to take the pictures. So when I got there at 8 o'clock, so I got a little bit of less, not too much, a little bit of the golden hour left. I did pop up the colors a little bit on there, but I really liked how the lines just kind of lead me into it. But the issue, of course, is, and I've shot this a variety of different ways through over the years, because I usually visit this place 3 to 4 times a year. And part of the thing is the challenge is when you go to the same place over and over again, is trying to find something different or unique, not just because of the time of day you go, but also what else can I photograph there? And so I photographed this particular part several times. And the thing is, I was trying to find something unique. And when I got there this time, there was all these nice little flowery things that are not quite flowers, kind of weedy looking things. It was up there in the front. And I said, okay, well, that might be kind of cool because I like how it framed it around it. And again, the lines lead you into it. Again, I'm not sure if I was too successful, but the idea was to try to really just get you going there. Now I could crop it and make it tighter, but then again, I kind of like the fact you have all this space above it when it's being held up by all this ground below it. You kind of break rule of thirds a little bit, but rules are meant to be broken anyway. So, but again, it's just a more like, again, trying to find a different perspective. A lot of times when I see people do landscape photography, they're shooting with a really extreme wide angle lens because they're trying to get as much of the material in there as possible. And that's fine. And that works out okay for some stuff, but sometimes you got to give it a little bit of something in the foreground to make the background really sing a little bit more. Like I see people go to like the Grand Canyon, they try to shoot the whole magnitude of the canyon in one shot. And when that's fine, but you kind of lose a little bit of the perspective of what's going on there, and being able to add a little bit of another hopefully an interesting element to the foreground can certainly add to it. Again, I'm shooting at the maximum depth of field I can with this lens, but again, this is I think this was at 40 millimeters for this particular one, but the idea is this is what I was working on for this one. Anybody have any other comments?
I really like this image. I like this image a lot.
Thank you.
I'm really, really pleased that you broke the rule of thirds. I would even center the towers even more and take a crop a little bit off of the left.
Okay.
I think the colors are beautiful. It brings the viewer in, the foreground, the middle ground, the background. Yeah, well done.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like the dive into infinity because you can see the next tower right between its knees all the way in the back.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
eye.
I agree with everything. Go ahead, Vincent.
No, I just wanted to say, good eye. He saw that and he did a nice job presenting it.
Well, because you got to remember, I keep going to the same spot all the time. So, I start looking for things that, okay, I've shot this before. What can I do different? And the thing, and I think it might be in the Bok Tower pictures. I think I have a closer up. You can see a little bit of the morning mist still back down there, which I thought was kind of cool. But it gets lost in this one, though. But yeah. All right, cool. Well,
Yeah, I was just going to add that I agreed with everything that Carr said. She said everything that I was pretty much going to say about the possibility of the crop on the left. I love the colorization here. It's kind of got a little bit of a yellowish, I guess, maybe tinting to it. And I think that kind of adds to kind of a dusty kind of feel to it. And I think it has a nice mood.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been reading about is dealing with the color harmonies and stuff like that, and trying to find that mixed balance of warm and cool colors and stuff. And then again, of course, maybe I need more warm than cool. So it's always that mixture of trying to figure out which works out well for what the intended use is for the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people like the warmer tones because it's more inviting as just a general thing. If you're going to tint it a little bit to the warm would, I guess, be the sense that I get from it, because it's the warm is more inviting, whereas the blue is kind of cold. It's a little standoffish. But it depends on what you're trying to do. But in terms of
Yeah.
like portraiture and stuff like that, people probably want a little bit of a warmer feel to the people rather than a cold.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go on to. All right, go over the edits here. What time am I up to here? Well, we're getting. Oh, it's 8:30. Okay, all right. Let me see if I can. Now, if I'm going too fast through this stuff, again, this is just meant to be just a brief instructional thing. You don't have to do what I do. This is just to kind of give you an idea of what things looked like before and what I did afterwards. So you got an idea of some of my process behind it. And I hope that some of this helps you out. And like I said, I don't want to keep you guys unless you guys really, want to stick around. Again, that's fine. But the idea is I'm just going to go through this as quickly as I can as far as that goes. So for instance, this is kind of the idea. I took all these pictures and I basically ran them through Photoshop at first. And I just basically did what's called a photo merge. So if you're not familiar with that, you go to File, go under Automate, and then you're going to look for Photo Merge. And then you're going to look for the files that you need to do it with. In this case, I also included content aware fill for transport areas to kind of fix up some of the little areas. I was fairly straight. I did it handheld, so I went boom, 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 straight up. So again, that's what I was working on right there. And then once it's all put together, you can see in this quick little video, hopefully, that you can see how I'm basically, as the photo merge goes through the process, it keeps adding all that stuff into it. So then when I finally get to the end of it, it adds a little bit of the content aware in there. And then, of course, I did all my hokey pokey stuff with it after at the end there. Again, I fixed the sky, popped the color in a little bit because I think it was slightly overexposed a little bit. But again, you got a lot of, it's like when I was shooting in the dark room or back when I was shooting film. Just because it's slightly underexposed doesn't mean that the picture's bad or horrible. It just means you have to work with what you've got and go from there. My intent was to basically try to get the best exposure as best as I can without blowing out too many highlights, but not losing too many of the shadow details as well. So that's basically how I ended up with that particular one. On the next one, again, another, since it's a, if we go, there we go. So you guys can see a little bit of a close-up of it right here again. Now on this one, you can see the issue when you're shooting the reflections, you got to deal with not only the color that's going on in the sky, but you also got to deal with the color in the water. You also got to deal with everything else. So again, the colors are getting muted in the reflection. So again, what I did was the camera has, I always like to use the camera's built-in art filter just to kind of see a little bit of the tonal separation because it has what they call a dynamic tone separator. It's part of Olympus, and you can actually play around with that with Olympus on that.
Don't give her any more memory.
So, and right here, we've got when I'm working.
Story of the car. Yeah, but wait.
I'm not sure who's talking. Somebody's talking. So, but the idea is when I'm working on this particular one right here, I was just seeing if anybody had a question. It's okay, you can talk. I just want to make sure if you got a question or two. So when I was working on this particular one right here, you can see right here, I was just basically, let me go back a little bit. When I was working on this one right here, I wanted to basically get rid of some of those white specks on this particular one. So basically I did a little bit of tweaking right there. Then I basically removed those guys because I didn't like those. I missed the one on the bottom one. And I think I would have gotten rid of it. And then I basically went back and I just recolored a little painting of color in the tower to give it more of its natural appeal to it. Yeah, but like Nate was saying, I think I might need to blow down those highlights a little bit more in that particular one. But that was the end result for that one. So again, here's the picture as it was out of the camera. Now the camera was sitting auto white balance, so it tries to fix what it thinks is the right color temperature, but it was actually a little bit warmer in the process because when I started playing around with it, of course, I wanted to warm it up a bit. So I did some basic edits here to kind of tweak it around just a little bit. And then when I went into the other one, I just basically added a little bit more get more warmth into the picture as far as that goes. Now, this is just dealing with the raw file here. Again, no specific add-ons or anything like that. Again, the idea was just to try to work with it and see what it looks like. there's plenty of times where I'll work on something that I'll go back to years later and I'll rework them after that and try to come up with something unique or whatever. So again, when you're working with all on the edits and stuff like that, the main thing is, at least I hope that you guys do when you're working on the edits, is that you're playing around with them, trying to see what you can come up with. Don't rely so much on what the camera tells you all the time, but you also want to work with also what your intended use is, or what the intended, whether it's street photography or something else. In this case, it's landscapes. The landscapes that people really like are the ones that are, in all honesty, the ones that have been edited to a point where they may look slightly different than what you might have expected it to be. But it's all about working with those elements and trying to create something that you think is unique in your own voice. And sometimes that's hard to do. Yeah, or it is very hard to do, because sometimes you're not sure what your voice is or what you're going off with. All right. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff I went over real quickly?
No, are you uploading your photos to Olympus Viewer? Is that where you're doing those?
No, most of the elementary edits I'm using is Capture One. JPI sells the licenses for Capture One. So my goal is to work solely with that at the beginning. I used to work with Lightroom exclusively and then move it into other things. But but I really need to learn Capture One, especially if I want to be more knowledgeable about it and talk about it more. So this year, that's all I've been doing is working just at the output of Capture One and seeing how it works, how the catalogs work, how the session works. It's a really unique tool. And if you guys get a chance to try it out, by all means. And if you want to throw some love to JPI, you can always buy the license from us if you need to do that. You can buy it with, in fact, here, let me show you this real quick. Let me go back to this.
So let me ask you a question, because I know you're technically very savvy.
Sometimes.
With this Capture One, one of my struggles in Lightroom is when you edit an image in Photoshop and Lightroom, if you don't use a save as and follow a certain procedure, you're going to go back to Lightroom and your file's not going to be there. It has a big question mark next to it.
Right.
Does Capture One operate the same way?
Yeah, and that's a similar thing. You gotta go find the file wherever you moved it to.
Yeah.
Catalogs, I think they have two things. They have catalogs and sessions. Sessions is where they actually you create like a temporary type of cataloging method, and then there's catalog, which is similar to the Lightroom cataloging. So, for instance, when I'm working on Capture One, I work through catalogs for some of my stuff. But if it's store stuff that I'm working on, then it's all in sessions, because I don't need to save it. I'm not looking to do anything permanent for that. Everything, all the final edits are done, and I just throw those in there, and that's pretty much it. But Capture One, when I'm working on it, is just something that I find that it's got some really cool tools, especially when it deals with color. The color is what it really, I think, is where they do a great job with especially when you're editing in RAW, because it has an amazing color separation on there, which I think works really well with that. Hang on 1 second. I think I showed it in this here video. Jump around.
Excuse me, I really hate to leave, but I must take my leave. And thank you all very much. Donovan, thank you for getting this going. Karen, I hope you liked that photograph. If you like that one, just you got my email address. I'll send it to you.
Thank you, kind. Thank you.
But in any event, good night, everybody. Thank you for being here for me, and I apologize. I have to leave early.
Good night.
All right.
So Capture One, just to finish it up, is basically it's they have a monthly, annual, and one license. So it's not like you have to do a subscription. You can buy one, and they usually keep that updated. If they do eventually come up with another one, then of course you got to buy a new license if you want the new version. But if you shoot Fuji, Sony, or Nikon, they make they're a much more inexpensive version, because it only deals with those particular raw files. So depending on your camera and stuff, it's a kind of a cool program. But again, it's something that we work with here and there. My initial impressions with it, it's awesome with camera raw editing. As far as a raw editor, it's probably the best raw editor that I found that works out really well. The closest next thing I probably would see with, and I've only dabbled with it enough, but I like how Photo Mechanic works as well too. Lightroom, again, with Adobe's camera raw editor, is also decent, but I really like how Capture One works with the raw editing. You can also add in plugins, and of course it's a singular thing. Some of the tasks can take a while. It's still not as robust or fast as I would like it. There's no mobile support. What I mean is you don't have a mobile app to go along with it, where Adobe has a much more robust mobile app problem going on with it as well. But again, it's not meant to replace the Lightroom or anything like that. It's a great way to, again, try something different and see how that works out for you. All right, let's see. All right, anything else, guys? Because otherwise, I think what I'm going to do is it's almost 9. It's almost 8:45. I think I've kept you guys here long enough. I know some of you are on the West Coast, so it's still fairly early over there. But some of us here eventually have to go to bed. It's dark out here now. I see the light behind you, Nate.
Yeah, there's still a little light here, but thank you so much, Donovan. It was a pleasure being part of this group.
Well, not a problem. Again, I'll post another self-assignment photo challenge in the next couple of days, and that way it'll be on the meetup page as well. I'll post it on Eventbrite, and I'll post it, of course, again on the Facebag as well too. Well, thank you all very much for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it, and I hope, again, as I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me stop this right there. And I hope you guys will stick around and do some more stuff. Again, I know some of the stuff we do here is a little bit more Florida centric, but the idea is, of course, to hopefully, at least on this particular part of what I do, is to reach out a little bit more to across other areas. I've had people tuning in when COVID was really in its the beginning part. We were getting people from Australia, from China, New Zealand. Who else? A couple of folks from the UK who were chiming in. So again, it's always a pleasure, and it's a treat to meet everybody else who are not necessarily nearby. And it's always great to hear other people's opinions and stuff. Part of the things that I do, especially with the Low Light group, especially the things I want to start moving on with this particular group, is I'd like for maybe to eventually have other events where maybe we can have a guest speaker and stuff like that, and won't be just my talking head type of thing. I'll take a look at that annotation thing, because I'm not familiar. I've seen it on Facebook. I mean, here on Zoom, Nate. So I'll take a look at it, so maybe people can go around and I'll get a little more familiar with that, and so that way I can make sure everyone has an opportunity to do that as well too.
Yeah, there's just a little option on the top. You
Yeah.
click it down, it says annotate, and sometimes it helps when you're pointing out really specific things. You can write on the screen, and then you can click erase, and it'll go away. Obviously, you don't want to have it permanently up there, and that's where sometimes there's some Zoom bombers too. So I understand why people don't necessarily do it, because you get Zoom bomb where people will go on your Zoom meeting and they'll write bad words on the thing, and it'll be locked on the screen, because they have to erase it. So that, but if you have a mature group of people, then it does help for making spots.
I haven't been Zoom bombed yet, but now that I've said that out loud, that'll probably happen next time.
Yeah, I've seen a couple Zoom bombs. Yeah, sometimes they just have to kick everybody out and restart up the meeting again, without that person.
Yeah, exactly.
We use that in our art class, and the instructors in our art class will show you where maybe you should have added more shadows or some more highlights, and it's really helpful because it's a great visual.
Cool. I'll play with that some more, and I'll see about what I can do to help out with that next time. I think maybe next time I can maybe let people be hosts, and if they want to, they could share on their screen as well too. I've done that before in the past, because not everybody's uploaded stuff right away. So they can, if I do like a co-host feature, I can let you. That way you can kind of pinpoint to some of the stuff you want to talk about. All right, guys. Well, thank you all again so much. I appreciate it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there in the interwebs some other time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Yep.